What's up, everybody? We are back. I'm back with some NFL preseason DFS picks. Going to give you 5 plays for tonight's Seahawks and Bears game on FanDuel and DraftKings. A little preseason DFS lineup strategy, a quick video to give you some high-level plays that you cannot miss for tonight's single game slate. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder at Occupy Fantasy. I'm back after vacation. Big shout out to Chris, who did a phenomenal job on these videos over the last week. Shout out to all the rest of the crew at Occupy Fantasy who helped get the daily plug and the playing time expectation notes and rankings out every single slate last week. The guys crushed it. And I'm back to help out again this week to keep the preseason train rolling. So let's jump right into it. Again, 5 plays that are probably going to be popular and you cannot miss for tonight's games. So we're going to start with the quarterback situation on both sides of the ball here tonight. And let's start with Geno Smith. For Seattle, he and Drew Lock split reps last week at quarterback. However, Drew Lock has COVID. He will not play tonight. And it's just Geno Smith and Jacob Eason. Let's bring up the quarterbacks here. Smith and Eason at quarterback tonight. However, Pete Carroll, the wording of his quote sounded like Geno could get more than a half. He said Geno will get at least a half. Eason will finish up. So at bare minimum, we can expect Geno Smith to get a half of football. It's possible he also starts the third quarter, which would likely give him the most playing time at quarterback on the slate, which is one of the most valuable positions. So Geno Smith, definitely one of the top plays tonight. Should be one of the most popular as well. Jacob Eason, great high-risk play. Could get a half of football against backups. So keep that in mind as well. Now for Chicago, their quarterback situation is somewhat similar because they had a short week, and head coach Matt Eberflus said Justin Fields and the starters will likely get just 6 to 10 snaps tonight in this game against Seattle. So just 6 to 10 snaps. That's probably a series. And that means we can't really play any of the starters for the Bears. Maybe they get a touchdown, but that probably won't help us, even at what their ownership will be. That means Trevor Siemian will finish out the rest of the first half. Nathan Peterman will probably get the entire second half based on what we expect and how the coaches were talking, how they played last week. So by that definition, Peterman should get the most work for the Bears. He should get 2 quarters. Let's bring him up. Trevor Siemian should get about a quarter and a half, while Justin Fields gets the 1 series to start the game. So again, playing time is everything in preseason DFS. Sure, Siemian might outproduce Peterman in less in a half quarter less of action, but Peterman's still the guy that's going to play the most. We want to try to jam in playing time as much as we can. Peterman, outside of Geno Smith, should play the most snaps tonight at quarterback. Plus, he's played a ton in preseason before, has been valuable, has won GPPs. I've won a GPP with him in preseason DFS. He's a guy that can get it done, can rush as well. So Peterman with a half, definitely a guy that we want to play. Now, if you watched the videos last week, especially the Hall of Fame video, you know we talked about defenses in these single game preseason slates, especially early on when the starters aren't playing as much, when teams aren't decimated by injuries and they have short and shallow position groups. There's a decent amount of running backs playing tonight, a decent amount of receivers playing, tight ends. So that gives value, both a high floor and a high ceiling, to the kickers and the defenses. So we'll talk about them tonight, in particular the defenses. And I know there's a lot of chatter out there about how preseason scoring was up tremendously last week. A lot of the totals went over, how totals were set higher this week in anticipation of people betting them. But still, against backup quarterbacks, defenses and kickers are phenomenally valuable. A great floor of at least 3, 4, 5 points. Can easily be the highest scoring player on the slate in lower scoring games. And we actually saw the ownership decrease a bit from Thursday in the Hall of Fame game all the way to Sunday in that Minnesota game. But still, the Bears and Seahawks. Bears, let's put them up. Yep, there they are. Seahawks are 3.5 point favorites in this game. They're probably who we'd lean a little more, getting action against Nathan Peterman. But again, the Bears against Jacob Eason in the second half could be valuable as well. Either way, defenses, both at captain, in the flex spots, are great plays. Let's not forget, defenses are also part of the FanDuel single game format now as well. They'll be undervalued over there, but they're even more valuable because the half point PPR scoring allows defenses who have similar scoring to DraftKings to actually be the highest scorer. So keep that in mind. Finally, the last situation we'll call upon, and we're going to expand on all of this in the daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com. The link is in the description below. Playing time expectations, injuries, camp notes, connections, stacks, top plays, rankings, core plays, lineup strategies, literally everything you need to break down a slate and to create profitable lineups for any contest type is going to be at OccupyFantasy.com in the daily plug. So check that out later today. We're just giving you the high level stuff in this video. Finally, I think this will be pretty popular. It's the Seattle wide receiver situation. And last week, they had a couple guys play probably more than expected, or at least Maybe not more than expected, but people weren't exactly sure who was going to play the most amount of snaps. But it was actually Bo Melton played about 50% of the snaps. He had a decent amount of targets. And then let's scroll down. Let's find the other guy who's probably the most popular on the slate is Derek Young. 72% of the snaps last week. Now, most people in the industry will just look at that and say, Young had 72% of the snaps. He will likely have 72% of the snaps again this week. He's a great play. Unfortunately for us, that's probably true. Most people in the industry, most people doing videos, written content, just look at the last week of preseason and project it moving forward. However, we know here at Occupy Fantasy that we can identify playing time trends based on coaching staffs. And oftentimes, what happened last week will not happen this week. However, and I say unfortunately because we're looking for differentiation, it looks like that will happen. Because if we look here at OccupyFantasy.com, this is our snap counts and opportunity data dashboard. You can access with the membership. And you can look back at historical years and try to identify trends. Fortunately, we do all that for you in the Daily Plug. But if you want to look at your own, try to find your own angles, you can. If we look at last year, preseason week 1, 2021, we saw that Kay Johnson, Connor Weddington, and Travis Toivonen each had around 50% plus of the snaps. And if we go to week 2, we see those same guys actually led again. 42% plus snaps for each of those guys. Kay Johnson led once again. So we actually should see Melton and Young lead in snaps once again. Pete Carroll did this in earlier years as well. They kind of play the same guys from week 1 to week 2 in preseason. So while we're looking for differentiation, it is kind of nice to know, especially for low-risk environments, who we can expect to play at the receiver position. Now, Chicago has a lot of injuries, and I encourage you to check out the plug, which is where we'll probably get different in high-risk contests tonight. So that'll do it for this video. Let's bring up Derek Young, and we'll close it out with the show as one of our favorite plays. If you like what you saw here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're doing these videos for every single preseason slate, every day that there's a preseason slate for the rest of the next couple of weeks. And we'll be doing stuff during the regular season as well for Showdown slates. Make sure you check it out. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Any questions, comment on the video below. We'll happily get back to you before the slate starts tonight. Or more importantly, join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord, where you can chat with us, ask us questions, sweat the games out with us in real time with staff and other members of the community. So, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening, and good luck in tonight's Bears and Seahawks single game preseason DFS slate.